If I could sum up this year's playoffs in one sentence, it would be the more things change, the more things stay the same. It was cool to see a playoffs with no Kansas City in it, and the Bears were back in it, and the Panthers made it over the Bucks. Still, though, there were some things that stayed the exact same. Green Bay as the 7th seed, Pittsburgh being a wild card exit, and Buffalo losing a very winnable game. It's like the script truly never changes, just our expectations change. Now that the Super Bowl is upon us, let's go over how we got here. The true glory of the 7th seed. A team that probably shouldn't have made it in, but are nonetheless in because the NFL likes money. The Los Angeles Chargers deserve all the credit in the world just for making it to the playoffs, but they didn't deserve to be put on a platter for slaughter like they did. The Chargers were without both their starting tackles, and Omarion Hampton only played one snap in the playoffs, and that's just the top of the injury list. Chargers fans got to watch their team die in real time. If this was a fully healthy Chargers team, there would have actually been some competition. But LA just got worked by New England, and there wasn't a damn thing they could do about it. On the bright side, Greg Roman was rightfully fired, but in true LA Chargers fashion, they can never truly have nice things. So Jesse Minter, who is one of the only reasons they got as far as they did, is now in Baltimore. It goes without saying, injuries killed any chances the Chargers had at making a true Super Bowl run. But now they'll have around $100 million in cap space this offseason to hopefully try and build this roster back up in hopes that every player worth a damn doesn't get hit with a season ending injury. Some things in life never change. The Steelers having a winning record and losing in the wild card round is one of those things. When everything around you in life is going downhill, you know you can always rely on the Pittsburgh Steelers to be your rock and never change. Turns out, Arthur Smith and a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers weren't what the Steelers needed to get their first win in 8 years. But I mean, who could have known that? I would like to remind everybody that Pittsburgh has the most expensive defense in the NFL, and they gave up 30 points to a CJ Stroud led offense. Crazy. I know. I can't wait to do the same song and dance at the same time next year. I am at a loss for words. The pillar of stability, the beacon of above average, the leader of winning record to wild card losses is finished. They actually did it. Finally, a new era in Pittsburgh is upon us. Never mind, they hired Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is literally just white Mike Tomlin. Forget what I said about a new era in Pittsburgh. I'll see you at the same time next year, after they lose in the wild card round. The feeling of losing a game you should win is a tough feeling. Jags fans were feeling that in full swing after losing to the Buffalo Bills. I just gotta know, why did they stop running the ball after it was clear Buffalo couldn't do a damn thing to stop it? But alas, I must admit, it was a very impressive season from the Jaguars. The hiring of Liam Cohen was a slam dunk and made Trevor Lawrence look very good this past season. There's still work to do in Duval though, and they don't have their own first round pick to add to this roster, but I trust what's going on in Jacksonville under Liam Cohen and James Gladstone. What's important now is Jacksonville doesn't get complacent. There were things the Jaguars did well, but there were also things that needed improving. The Jaguars had the number one rush defense in the NFL this past season, and because of that, teams threw the ball against them a lot. The most, in fact, and Buffalo was no exception. Josh Allen was 28 of 35 against the Jags defense, and if the Jaguars have hopes of going farther than the wild card round, they'll need to find a way to slow down the caliber of quarterback of Josh Allen. For a team that shouldn't have even been in the playoffs, the Panthers gave the Rams a damn good game. Considering everyone just expected the Rams to slap the Panthers around, they held their own in their first playoff appearance since 2017. A few mistakes here and there definitely hurt them, like going for it on fourth down to start the game when your offense has barely gotten into a rhythm, and the Bryce Young interception was a bad miscommunication, but not a bad game at all things considered. The Panthers making the playoffs gave Bryce Young at least one more year of leniency, seeing as they picked up his fifth year option, but there is still work to be done in Carolina. The Panthers have the benefit of being in a weak division for at least a few years going forward, but they can't rely on that in order to have continued success, especially in the playoffs. Making it to the playoffs is hard, but making it back to the playoffs is harder. Things can always be better, but just as easily, things can always get worse, and Carolina has experienced the worst before. The Eagles deserve to lose. It's amazing how a team can waste the talents of so many stars on one side of the ball, and people will just blame it on one person. Just as it's a team effort on the field, it's a team effort off the field. I refuse to believe it was only Kevin Patullo's fault that this offense was utterly useless. Yes, he deserved to be fired, but Nick Sirianni has only ever looked passable as a head coach when he's had a pair of elite coordinators. Not just one elite coordinator, but two. Teams would kill to have the coordinators the Eagles have had, and I'd argue some of the coordinators they've let go are better head coaches than Nick Sirianni. In 2022, when the Eagles made their first Super Bowl under Nick Sirianni, he had Shane Steichen as the offensive coordinator and Jonathan Gannon as the defensive coordinator, both of whom would go on to get head coaching jobs. And then the very next season, the Eagles would fall off hard and get upset in the first round by the Bucks. 2024, the Eagles would win the Super Bowl with Kellen Moore as the OC and Vic Fangio as the DC. And as soon as Kellen Moore leaves, this offense goes to crap. What does Nick Sirianni even do? Is he just there to keep the vibes up? Is he just there to be a figurehead for Howie Roseman? Every single time Nick Sirianni has appointed his own coordinators, everything goes bad. But every single time the Eagles hire outside coordinators, everything goes amazing. With all this in mind, the Eagles should just hire an offensive coordinator from outside the organization, and that will all but guarantee a Super Bowl run in 2026. The seventh seed merchant. If the seventh seed didn't exist, the Packers wouldn't have made the playoffs in the past 3 seasons, and Matt LaFleur definitely wouldn't have gotten the extension he got. What makes everything worse is they lost to the Bears. In real time, we got to witness the Bears overtake the Packers after years of playing second fiddle, and the game was absolute cinema. Who knew that losing Micah Parsons would cause this Packers defense to regress mightily, and that it takes more than just one elite edge rusher to have sustainable success? I don't want to sound like I know better than anyone, but I will say, I didn't think that claiming Trayvon Diggs would fix anything for the Packers, but I applaud them for trying something. It was cool to see them actually use Matthew Golden after drafting him 22nd overall and then not use him all season long, but better late than never, I guess. Like many other teams, though, the Packers' season was derailed by injuries. After Micah Parsons went down, their Super Bowl ambitions just kind of faded, and the rest of the season after that point just felt like a formality that they had to go through. I expect the Packers to be back next season, but do yourself a favor and go out and get some real secondary help. That way you're not relying on Trayvon Diggs of all people come playoff time. Man, this team stinks. Josh Allen is a conundrum. He is simultaneously the greatest football player I have ever had the pleasure of watching. And sometimes, well, he gets a little silly with it. Don't get it twisted though. I would die for that man. I love you, Josh Allen. Allen picked a fantastic time to get quirky with it, and it cost the Bills dearly. Now, Sean McDermott is gone, the fan base is up in arms, and Josh Allen is reaching unk status. And I don't know how much more of this playoff failure I can take. Oh, what a pain. It's hard to win a football game when you turn the ball over 4 times, but the Bills had chances to win, and now all anyone wants to talk about is whether Brandon Cooks caught it or not. In real time, I didn't think it was a catch, but after being forced to watch it 1,000 times because everybody was posting about it on social media, I can honestly say it could have gone either way. But when has anything ever gone the Bills' way in the playoffs? Ever. I will say, everyone constantly complaining about it being a catch is giving Bills fans a bad rap. Because let's be honest, life sucks, nothing good will ever happen, and let's all just get ready to be haters on Super Bowl Sunday. CJ Stroud saw Josh Allen turn the ball over 4 times and said to himself, I can do better than that. Of all the performances to take inspiration from, that one probably wasn't the best one, CJ. It's time to get real about the Texans. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Texans defense is pretty good. I'd even go as far as to say they're really good, maybe even the best. The Texans are in a Super Bowl window solely because of their defense, and time is ticking before they are forced to pay big time money to Will Anderson and CJ Stroud. Now, Nico Collins not being available certainly wasn't helpful, but the Texans' offensive performance against the Patriots does not boil down to them just missing Nico Collins. Woody Marks had 14 carries for 17 yards, and CJ Stroud was sacked 3 times. To me, that is an indictment on the Texans' offensive line and Nick Caserio. Everybody loves when their team is going out and loading up on skilled position players, but then wonders why their offensive line sucks. The biggest need for the Texans is O line help, and their ability to dress that will be the deciding factor on whether or not the Texans will reach greater heights. CJ Stroud also needs to not throw 4 interceptions, but that shouldn't be too hard, right? We can't fault the 49ers for losing when they did. Obviously, losing 41-6 isn't fun, but making it to the divisional round with all the injuries they had to go through is truly impressive. Any given year, the 49ers can go on a run, and it seems like there's nothing the 49ers can't overcome except injuries and Andy Reid. It would be the most 49er thing ever if next season the only player they lost to injury was Christian McCaffrey, because I'm convinced the 49ers can't go a full season without losing a superstar, and he was the only one who stayed mostly healthy throughout the year. San Francisco did all anyone could have asked of them. They made the playoffs after struggling through injuries, and they embarrassed the Eagles in Philadelphia. I know the end goal is always the Super Bowl, but sometimes when the Super Bowl just isn't attainable, it's the small victories that make a lost season feel not so hard. Now, the 49ers get to look forward to a hopefully healthier 2026 and getting rid of Brandon Ayuk. They actually did it. The Bears won a playoff game. And to make it all the more sweeter, it was against the Green Bay Packers. Ben Johnson did get a little silly against the Rams, but the Bears won a playoff game. The future is bright in Chicago. For the first time in a while, I can honestly say they're entering a Super Bowl window. They have a great offensive minded head coach with a quarterback on a rookie deal. That is how Super Bowl teams are built. The defense does need some work, particularly on the defensive line, but I can't harp on that too much considering what the Bears have been in the past. Ben Johnson probably won't win Coach of the Year, but his name will certainly be in consideration for the work he did this past season. The Bears now know the level they have to get to after losing to the Rams, and my only advice would be don't get stagnant. Keep adding, keep getting better. The rest of the division will be gunning for the top spot, and now that top spot in the NFC North runs through Chicago. Wow, that's weird to say. I'll admit, I'm still not totally on board with Ryan Poles at the helm, but I hope he doesn't screw it up for a fan base that deserves good things. Injuries suck, man. I can't prove it, but I'm going to blame the Bo Nix injury on the 18th game. Even with Nix out, the Broncos defense did what we all expected of them, but it's just hard to win a football game only scoring 7 points. Why would they have not just taken the points, man? What sucks the most is they were our last hope from preventing New England from reaching the Super Bowl, and we didn't even get a good game out of a classic rivalry. Instead, we get Drake May going 10 for 21 with 86 yards in the conference championship game and then getting to go to the Super Bowl. I hope the Broncos will be back next year because they deserve a healthy run at the Super Bowl, especially after a gutsy win over the Bills and this bogus loss to the Pats. One thing I will say is Sean Payton needs to give this offense a better run scheme. I know J.K. Dobbins was out, but the offense Sean Payton runs puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And for more success offensively in the playoffs, I would like to see Denver develop a run game they can actually lean on. Hopefully, this playoff run can spark something greater in the future, but only time will tell. So close, yet so far. This was a golden opportunity for the Rams to make it back to the Super Bowl, and they just couldn't pull it off. Seattle was just the better team, and they played better, and that's a hard pill to swallow. Stafford played at an MVP level, but the defense gave up 31 points. Although they didn't give up any points in the fourth quarter, the real question is, was it a fumble? Honestly, I don't know anymore. But it's a tough feeling when it feels like one call changes the whole game, even though deep down you know that your team had chances to win it. If the Rams stay healthy and Stafford's play doesn't fall off drastically, the Rams will probably have another shot at the Super Bowl. but I just can't shake the feeling that they let this one get away. You can never take your shots at the big game for granted, and Stafford isn't getting any younger. I trust Les Snead and Sean McVay, so I'm not worried about the Rams' future, but this loss will sting for a while, no doubt, especially depending on the outcome of the Super Bowl. Well, damn. The Super Bowl we all wanted. The NFL truly spoils us because what we all wanted to see was New England back in the Super Bowl. God, I can't stand the Patriots. First and foremost, congrats to both teams for making it all the way. Everyone can complain about the road to the Super Bowl, but at the end of the day, the teams can't choose the opponents. They just have to play the games. Still, though, I have never seen a team have such a fluky run to the Super Bowl. Credit where credit is due, though. Drake May put on a truly MVP caliber playoff run. Against the Chargers, Drake May put the team on his back, going 17 of 29 for 268 yards with one TD and one interception. Then, against the Texans, he continued his elite play, going 16 of 27 for 179 yards with three touchdowns and one interception. Then, with a chance to go to the Super Bowl, Drake May went to battle with none other than Jarrett Stidham. In a true Manning versus Brady level clash, Drake May would do everything he could to will his team to victory, going 10 for 21 for 86 yards and dragging his team to the Super Bowl. Mike Vrabel will most likely win Coach of the Year, and I can't argue with that. Honestly, this is one of the most stacked Coach of the Year classes I've ever seen, and Vrabel coming out on top of it just goes to show how good of a job Vrabel did with the Patriots. I truly hate to see it, but I'll give Vrabel his flowers for the work he's done. As for the Seahawks, their road kind of just ran through their own division. Beating the crippled 49ers in the divisional round was to be expected, but they put on a show against the Rams in the NFC Championship game. Mike McDonald is one of the best head coaches in the NFL, and I am convinced that his defenses could have stopped Germany's invasion of Poland. They are that strong. Sam Darnold being the first quarterback from 2018 to make the Super Bowl was definitely not something I predicted back in 2018, but I'm happy for Darnold. He had to endure being drafted by the Jets. I find it interesting how the Seattle Seahawks are essentially built off of other teams' mistakes. I wonder how Vikings fans are feeling right now. None of this would be happening if they just decided to run it back with Darnold instead of moving on to JJ McCarthy. But alas, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Jackson Smith and Jigba wouldn't be a Seahawk today if the Packers would have just drafted him like everybody thought instead of taking Lucas Van Ness. Demarcus Lawrence was a huge addition to the Seattle defense, but he also wouldn't be here if Jerry Jones wasn't a senile old man. Ernest Jones has been the heartbeat in the middle of this Seattle defense, and the Seahawks acquired him from the Titans in exchange for Jerome Baker and a fourth. Also, shout out to Gray Zabel. He's got a nice mustache. In case you haven't picked up on my bias, I hope Seattle kills New England. I can't stand the Patriots, and I hope Mike McDonald puts Drake May in a blender and we get to see a peak Seattle defensive performance rivaling that of Super Bowl 48 against the Broncos. All I ask is that New England doesn't win. Life sucks enough as much as it is. I don't know if I can handle being loitered over by New England all over again. Please, Seattle, do it for us. Do it for America. Do it for Canada, because I'm Canadian. Do it for the world. Don't let them win. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know who you have winning in the comments down below. Peace.